think that, and I have been repeating this over the last 2 years, I think we have to be very cautious with the way we are studying and understanding what is happening these days in the Muslim majority countries in MENA, Middle East and North African countries. I think it's not as simplistic as this. It's not just a wave of new democratization in the country, that the dictators are leaving and we are so happy to see democrats coming to the fore. I think it's much more complex than this. And if you only look at it through the political angle, you must be, or you could be misled by the whole assessment of the situation. The problem that we have is that we have a partial understanding, and we are pushed to think about the political structure and not to understand the geostrategic dynamics and the economic sides of the whole question. And it might be that foreign countries are much more involved than what we think within the whole process. So I wrote a book about this, the Arab Awakening, Islam and the New Middle East, even questioning the language. Speaking about spring and revolutions might be overstated, and we might have to reconsider the way we are dealing with this. So we need to be cautious, we need more understanding, and we need, and this is something that is every time there, we need to start with a comprehensive approach. And be careful, even when we speak about democratization. Democracy is not a structure, is not only a political model. Democracy is based on principles, and you cannot be faithful to the principles if you don't look at the other side of the coin, which is, for example, could we have real democracy if we don't care about social justice? So the economic side of the whole picture, which is coming after. We will have, after my talk, a talk on the economic side, but I think that this is very important. All the people who are speaking about democracy, and they speak about political principles without talking about economic stability and economic justice. No democracy without economic justice. There is no way. So poverty doesn't work with even the basic Islamic principles, and we need to come with this understanding when it comes to this. So a comprehensive approach. This is the first point. The second point, as I was saying and starting with, we need to deal with terminology. And I'm sorry to say that coming from the Muslim majority countries, coming from Malaysia, coming from the Arab world, coming from Muslims even living in the West, I think we are not precise enough in the way we use words. Not only we are not precise with the Western terminology, but we are not precise with the Islamic terminology. We even when we speak Arabic, some Arab people should have a better understanding in Arabic of the Arabic terminology. So let alone people not speaking Arabic. When they don't have a clear understanding of what we say when we speak about, first the simple thing is it could be even Islam and Jihad and Shura that are the words that we are using, but it also have to do with democracy or democratization or even liberal. Liberal is a very complex word. Liberal doesn't mean exactly the same when you put liberal democracy and liberal economy. It's the same word, not the same meaning. Because a liberal economy could mean that you are not following any democratic rules. While when you speak about liberal democracy, you are speaking about human rights, you are speaking about some regulation as to the values. But liberal economy, it doesn't mean the same thing. So some people are playing with words as liberal is quite positive as a word, so we use liberal, but depending what it is qualifying and being the specific word, it's difficult to translate this into English, but specifying the words that is just after something which is problematic in itself. So we need to get a better understanding of the terminology that we are using in all the dimensions. And as I said, even when we look at our recent history, terminology matters. When we speak about, revolutions, and when we speak about spring, and when we speak about freedom, we might have a better understanding of the words that we are using. Now, if we look at what is or has happened recently in Muslim majority countries in the Arab world, in the Middle East, there is at least something that happened. At least, and this is why you are here and trying to come to this topic and pushing in that side, is that there is an intellectual revolution. For the first time in recent history, people have the impression, the perception, the feeling that they can change something within the society. At least that this is something which is positive. We are not sure about the result, we are not sure about what is going to happen, but we can feel that the people have the energy to say no to dictators. They were able to take into the streets and say no and to change something. So this is the cultural shift, as some people are referring to, because for the last 50 years, the only region in the world which was not changing at all was the Middle East. All the countries in Africa, even Western Africa, South America, they were changing and militarily were leaving, even in Turkey, but in the Arab world and even here in the region, in Asia, South Asian countries, things were changing. In the Arab world it was not. 50 years, 40 years, 30 years, always the same, no change, and now something is changing. Is it going to be enough? Allahu A'lam. Are we heading towards something which is better? Allahu A'lam. But at least we should rely on something which is the will of people, populations, and this awareness that through non-violent means we are able to change. And we have to come back to this as something which might be the essential gain of the whole story, that is God willing, inshallah, something could happen with not only being happy with what happened already, but what could happen in the near future if the mobilization remains in, for example, Egypt today.